people already. Welcome everyone. I'm finally back after a whole week being sick, and I really wanted to make it today. So I took my rest because I really want to make this live stream with Dennis Ivy. So just stayed in bed for a whole week because I really didn't want to miss this one. So this is a series that started more than 3 years ago, and one of my first guests, it was Dennis Ivy. I can't remember how many subscribers I had back then, but Dennis, you are back, and we have been collaborating for a while, and we didn't meet. That's the only thing that is missing. But what's the so Dennis, please introduce yourself, and want to have really a good conversation with you because I want to talk about DevRel. Last time you were not into DevRel, and now I want to know all about your experience. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we were just talking. This is my third time, I think, on here, and I cannot remember how many subscribers you had, but it was under 5K when we first did our first podcast. And then you interviewed Sulamita right after. But for anybody that doesn't know, my name is Dennis Ivy, YouTuber, developer advocate. Right now I work at an awesome company called Appright, and it's been my absolute dream job because I've been a developer advocate at a different organization before. Appright has just hit all the things that I was looking for. So absolutely love working there. And I'm primarily focused on video content, educational content, doing events, speaking at events, writing articles, and so on. But as far as the video content, it's on the Appright YouTube channel. Just published a video today, so maybe we can, show that at some point today or talk about that. But yeah, that's kind of the summary, so we can just leave the rest up to conversation.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, of course, we will share it soon. And yes, so I remember that we have been talking about DevRel for a while. By the way, hi everyone. This is an open live stream, so feel free to drop your questions. There are some people who are very interested into DevRel, so we'll talk about how to get to DevRel. I like to bring like real experiences, so this is really what I like to talk about. Then he's one of my favorite tech YouTuber. Yes, it's also one of my favorites, of course. I really like when you build stuff, when you do long live streams. I try to jump in. Sometimes I also jump in literally in the live stream, like as a guest.
Yeah, you're like a regular in my live streams. I think I've had you in like every 12 or 10-hour live stream that I've done. I think you make an appearance somewhere there.
So yes, so usually. Yeah, Dennis Avi, sometimes you just send me like the link and say, Francesco, just jump in the live stream. So this is one of the few people that is at that level that can just send me a random link, and sometimes I pop in the live. Nice. So I interviewed many people in DevRel, developer advocates, and so on. So now I'll make the classic questions. I think you already know what the question you are about to get. And that question is exactly this. What is DevRel?
Well, let me try to define it because it changes everywhere you go. It's not a new concept, but it's relatively new in the sense of like how it's been publicly talked about. First time I became a developer advocate, I actually got a message from our friend Tadas that and he said, "Hey, do you want to be a developer advocate?" And that was from my last company. And I thought it was like an ambassador program. I didn't understand what it was, like a sponsorship. So no idea what it was. And this was 2 years ago, maybe a little bit over 2 years ago. So to me, it was that new of a concept. But at the end of the day, DevRel, in my opinion, is simply bridging the gap between the product and the end users. My job is to not advocate for the product as far as promoting it. It's not a marketing thing, even though some companies do treat it that way. And that is a part of it. It's making sure that I know how people are using our product. I know where the pain points are, and I can deliver that information back to the engineers, whoever's developing the product. So I'm not advocating for the product itself. I'm advocating for the end users just as much. So when I see an issue, I'm in the engineers' ears just as much as it goes the other way around, where I'm the biggest critic of our own product. So that's, to me, it's like bridging that gap, making sure it's a understandable product and the information's out there.
Yeah, I really like this definition. It's very similar to my definition. And yes, we are that guy, that person who says like, hey, this feature sucks. This feature is the
Yep.
people are not gonna like it. And sometimes I regret like being paid to say this, but yeah, they hire us to say this. So now I'm used,
Yes.
and it's yeah.
We have to be our own product's critic, because then if we don't give that feedback and we're just making a product that we think everyone loves, nothing happens. Nothing ever gets done. So if we're not our own worst critic for our product, then it doesn't get better.
Yes, yes, I agree with this, and let's say that I I really enjoy this role. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, 2 years and 6 7 months. I enjoy the fact that basically you can basically keep doing what you like. Of course, working for a company, but there is some overlap where we can say, for example, if you
Mhm.
like to create content, if you like to make videos. Also, my first role it was about creating just the YouTube videos, so more on the content creator part. Dennis, I want to know more about your journey in developer advocacy, because we are always in touch, but sometimes we do conferences, we travel. So now that we can relax, for me it's a dream. Like we can relax 15 minutes, 10 minutes, because I want to know your journey, what you liked about DevRel, some parts that
Sure.
maybe surprised you. We can start even from the beginning or from whatever you want. Let's make
Yeah.
a story. Yeah.
Well, you kind of mentioned the part where there's overlap. So my background from being a startup founder myself, developing and having a couple of sales where, built and sold software and running my own companies, I actually transitioned into the educational space. So that's how I started my YouTube channel. It was simply just taking everything I ever knew, and I wanted to teach that and also use it as a way to maybe solidify information in my own head, learn something, because once you're teaching it, you really have to understand it. There's so many things that I thought I knew, and then when it comes time to explain it to somebody, like, hey, how do you build an API with Django and how does this package work? It's like, well, I've used it, I've built stuff with it, but I really don't understand it that well. So I loved that aspect of things, and that's how I got into the educational space. And then you mentioned that there's overlap. So for me, that was the original vision for DevRel. When I got hired at my last company, I was brought in to do primarily YouTube stuff, and I had a great boss there. We absolutely vibe and still talk to this day. And he kind of let me do my thing, where it was like, hey, this is our product, get feedback, make content. That's our biggest thing. And that was perfect for the first 6 months of working there. Um, the numbers we hit, I think we doubled the SDK downloads for web. There was just like insane numbers that we were hitting. Website traffic was through the roof, and the job was going very well. So there was that natural transition from content creation to teaching, and then it just kind of flowed. Somewhere at that point, my boss ended up leaving. He ended up getting funding for his own company, and I ended up going through a couple of transitions through manager changes. Through that point, the vision kind of changed. So I ended up having to work on documentation, which I'm totally fine with. But I ended up having to lead a team and organizing the documentation, hiring people for different aspects. And the role completely changed from DevRel to almost being like an engineering lead. But in that process, it was kind of it's a big company with a good size of a good sized bank account. So they really didn't spend a lot of time in trying to make sure that we were out in the community and doing stuff like that. So our vision kind of shifted at that point. And that's when I started looking for an out. While I was working at that company, I started applying. And that's kind of when AppWrite came along into that picture. Same thing, YouTube focused, except for the product here is now something that everybody can use. It's a backend as a service. We're developing applications. Most likely you're going to need a backend at some point. So I saw that as something that perfectly aligned to what I was already trying to do. And so far that vision has been kept. Things do deviate. I'm a team player, so I'm always going to want to make sure that the company is successful and we do what we need. But AppWrite has really given me that ability to kind of stay what I'm focused on and keep creating. Because at that point in that transition, I was trying to think about, I was thinking about going back to full-time content creation. Before my last company was making a full-time living, the sales have dropped on certain courses, but I still do make a nice income from that. So I wasn't going to take another DevRel position until, it was something perfect. There's a lot of organizations that I interviewed at that did, throw out an offer that just did not meet that criteria, and no one nailed that better than AppWrite as a product and as a vision. So that's kind of the summary into how I got into it and that transition, because this is my second DevRel role right now.
Nice, nice. And this shows how as DevRels, you really need to be ready to adapt. This is not just me, but like many DevRels, they need to adapt on different roles, also different in your career. For example, at the beginning, I was more focused on the documentation. Now it's done. It's done the first version, so I'm more focused on the video content creation. I started making TikTok videos, like I started making like different kind of things. That of course it wasn't even planned, and especially even the public speaking. Maybe not many people know that I didn't start public speaking yet when I joined the LeadDev. So it's something that I started after this. So yeah.
I'm so proud of you for that, by the way. Like the fact that you even started your channel with a language barrier and then went into public speaking. I mean, that's just insane. Like the fact that you took that leap, I was very impressed because I watched your first talk, and yeah, you were nervous, and then I'm watching your talks after that, and you seem like a natural now. And I hate to say that word because it's never natural for people like us. We're a little bit introverted, so it kind of takes away from the hard work that you had to put into it. But props.
Yes, I think that for public speaking, that of course it's related to DevRel in some extent. I'm not the most experienced the public speaker out there, but I accumulated like they call it like full immersion course. So I did like I don't know 20 talks in less than 2 years. I lost count, so this means that I made some of them. So lost in count, and again some more planned. And yes, for me, going back to in-person events, also coming from sport and stuff, in some ways at a conference reminds me of stadium. So maybe I like it in some ways. So I feel it more confident in a tech conference than doing cameras. Now I don't care about cameras. But yes.
I can see that.
Yeah. Nice. We have some questions, so let's do this. Let's get some questions from the audience, and then we get back. But I'm really enjoying this this podcast, of course. So, like as a DevRel, in your case, do you work closely with the engineering team or not?
So this question, I'm totally teasing, but it's kind of offensive because we are engineers. I know some DevRels that aren't engineers, but I'm still a developer. I'm an engineer, so at heart, I'm still coding. But I want to address this one by first talking about the how different companies position this, because at my last company, we had a DevRel team of like 7, and pretty much every developer advocate that we had was a core engineer working on like SDKs, working on different components with the UI libraries to integrate with our product. So it's funny how that changes, because I know some organizations where the DevRel is not even technical, or maybe they're technical, but they don't ever do the actual technical work. They're just kind of like advocating for the product, maybe on almost like a marketing position. So it depends on how your company organizes that. But yes, at Appright, I 100% work with engineering. I commit, I work with the code. I'm looking through it. I'm finding issues. I'm still contributing. I'm doing stuff like that. And we work very closely here. At my last company, same thing. We only had 2 developer advocates that were public facing, which was myself and Tadas. But everyone else, I mean, sure, they maybe did some talks here and there, but they were still core engineers.
Are you telling me that you can still code? That's mind blowing.
I wouldn't. That was actually an issue at my last companies when I got taken away from that. I'm like, I still want to code. I still love what I do. It's maybe I'm getting older and I don't want to be behind the computer for so long, but it's still a passion of mine.
Yes, I like this, and of course, Arinda, we forgive you, but we forgive you, and we get also this second question that was also, by the way, on one of my ones. So, I recently got a DevRel internship. Well done, congratulations. As a beginner in this field, how should I approach DevRel? This is very important because at some point, if we like the DevRel role, we might get our first DevRel position. It can be an internship, part-time role, full-time role if you are lucky, or something happens. What do you think is the how should I approach? So what do you think is the right approach?
So that's I mean, the comment, first of all, congrats, but the comment is a little bit vague for sure. And that's going to change based on where you're at and what your goals are. With that, one of the things I would say, especially in today's economy, not to be a downer, is DevRel is one of those positions that usually is the first to go when a company is doing any budget cuts or anything like that. So what I would say is anything that you're doing, make sure you're not only advocating for the company or for the customer or consumer, advocate for yourself too. That means tracking your metrics, because a lot of times what you do can't be tracked. When there's engineers working on a product, they can see the output through code. They are crucial to the process. DevRel is crucial to the process, but a lot of times when investors say, hey, we need to make some budget cuts, they look at DevRel and they're like, well, okay, they're doing some events, but what does that mean? What is that? How does that contribute to our bottom line? Because the company needs to make money. So when you're tracking these metrics, you need to track it almost like a salesperson would. You're not tracking it by how many talks you did. You're tracking it by the amount of people at the talks and how many potential hot leads those were. So you're making sure that you're converting those. And when you're communicating that back to your manager, or when your manager is communicating that to investors, make sure everything you do is trackable. Because if you're not advocating for yourself, we're seeing a lot of positions get cut. And my manager, Tessa, does this very well at Appright, where she's always making sure there's hard numbers to every event, every video that we put out. There's something where we're tracking, like, if we were salespeople, how does this convert to money at the end? So I would say, from a vague perspective, if you're just an intern, you have less control over that because your manager is usually setting that for you, but still make sure you're representing yourself.
Yes, I agree with that, and I think this is why it's so important, for example, to track, I don't know, the growth that you have on social media, the numbers of views, and also I like what you said, like in the value of the connections, because if we a developer advocate, you can convert one person who has like a good following or is well known, and they will basically then advocate for the company for free. It's a huge win for the company. Yeah.
So make sure you track that number exactly, because if you can make that connection and list that as one, and then this, let's say, I'm going to use YK as an example. Francesco, YK. He was using a company with a name that I shouldn't mention, but Firebase. And I told him, I said, I'm going to convert you to Appright, not because I'm going to try to sell you on it, but because I think that we can satisfy your needs for what you're trying to build more. So if I ever have YK using Appright at the end of the day, and if he ever makes videos, you better bet that I'm going to make sure that his reach is included in my stats, that whenever he's making content, I don't exclude that, because he's not just one conversion. He can be thousands, hundreds of thousands of conversions down the road. And I don't ever like looking at people as a number like that, but that is something that you have to consider, because I'm going to have to make sure that that's represented, because that's something that I worked on.
Yes. Can we say that like the value of the DevRel is also in their network? We can't value that in numbers, but like we can say that they should be two separate things. But let's say the network has some sort of value.
Yeah, that it's just that investors may not understand your network, so they're going to need the hard number. that's kind of the point that I'm getting to. Is it's going to have to be communicated still.
Yes, and because sometimes maybe we have just friendships, we don't like count them all, but it's important to have. Yes, nice. So I have one question for you, Dennis. And by the way, I don't know if you're done. You want to add something more on your experience first? Do you want to add something more on your experience, and then we can move?
No, I think we can leave it at that for now. Yeah.
Okay, so I have one question, which is like, who can be a good DevRel? Which are the skills maybe we have seen, because there has been, I think a sort of boom, like, because for example, when I joined Twitter in 2020, like almost all my friends, they become DevRel, included me. so I had this this conversion, but I think it's because most of us, they were already active on social media, so it made sense. Social media, YouTube, and so on. So, who do you think that can become a good DevRel? Some skills.
I don't think it's for everyone. I'll state that first, because I think the answer people want to hear is, oh, anybody can do it, and that's not true. Some characteristics I'd have to say are, first of all, you're going to need to understand the tech. You're going to have, in most cases, again, it's going to change based on position. You're going to be somebody that can kind of be a jack of all trades when it comes to tech stacks, because you're communicating with developers across the scope. Again, it completely changes per product, but at Appright, I need to know multiple front-end frameworks. I need to know back-end frameworks, because I'm communicating with developers that are maybe switching from a back-end framework. So you need to be someone that can adapt and learn really quick and jump between things and not get stuck in one stack. And that's maybe true for all developers. You shouldn't just get stuck in one stack, but somebody that can jump across certain stacks like that. Somebody that has empathy and can understand an issue and be able to communicate that issue. I use this as an example for a question that I got when somebody asked me, what does it take to be a good freelancer? It's being able to hear a complaint from a developer or from a client and be able to really understand that and understand their pain points, and then be able to communicate that back. If I can't communicate well with the engineers, if I can't communicate with the end users, get that feedback, probably not a good fit. That's something that you're just absolutely going to have to do. I know that you do this at Daily Dev all the time. You're getting feedback. You're seeing how people use a product. So I would probably say empathy is one of the biggest things right there, outside of, just being able to communicate and have the technical skills. As far as public speaking, content creation, I mean, that's going to change per role. We have some developer advocates that are just, public speaking. Aditya does a lot of public events. Then we have some people more focused on articles, videos. So that's just going to change per role, but you're never going to regret having those skills. So if you can add on those skills to your resume, sure, why not? But show that you're community oriented.
Yes, I like this. I like this approach, and I like this answer because it's. I think it's. I don't want to say evolution compared to developer, but I think that having a good base of knowledge can really help. And I also like that you say that it's not for everyone. I would have said the same. That maybe because, for example, I don't know I would like to discuss something a bit controversial, which has been I think a couple of months ago, so 6 months ago. So we saw a sort of trend of some people who left DevRel, 3-4 videos, why I quit DevRel. I watched some of them. So I think it's absolutely okay that it doesn't have to be to fit to everyone. Yeah.
When I watched those videos, because I saw a few of them, I noticed that a lot of those were based on being mismanaged. Some of those organizations use developer advocates like salespeople, and I can see the need. But sometimes if your manager or whatever company hired you has the wrong vision of what DevRel is, they're going to have you doing stuff that's out of the scope of what you are really meant to be doing there. So I can see people getting burnt out. Like that happened at my last company, where once the position changed, we had somebody that was less DevRel focused as far as the content stuff, and it burnt me out because I got to the point where I was like, well, here's my skills, this is what I want to do, this is what you hired me for, and if I can't do that, if I can't still code, if I can't create content, why am I here? I'd rather just go back to engineering and making videos on the side. At Upright, I still I noticed the position change slowly, and it's my job to say, hey, you know what, this is what I was hired for, and I'm seeing this shifting, and I don't like the direction we're going. So I have to constantly bring it back. But a lot of those people maybe either couldn't communicate that, or whoever hired them just didn't really value it as much. That's kind of the trend I saw, at least.
Yeah, and usually I say this, that if a company doesn't have a marketing team, you are the marketing team. So it's this is something that usually it's said, but it's this is something that happens in DevRel. And for example, at Daily Dev, we are lucky that at least we have a person in charge of marketing. I'm in charge of DevRel. We have business operations. So it's a small team, not that small as it was 3 years ago, but it's at least now it absolutely makes sense to me. I can focus on the developer relation things. Nice. Perfect. If you have any questions, just drop them. And now I have one more question for you, Dennis, which is how to become a DevRel. How can you become a DevRel? Let's say, especially if you are already in development, we'll say. Even if I know a couple of people who they just jumped to DevRel without being a developer, but let's say that I think that the general case is someone who is a developer, full stack or whatever, and they want to become a DevRel. So what do you think is the right way to do it?
So the universal thing you can do, and it's actually, I think, pretty easy to answer this one, to summarize it, is just start getting vocal. Start getting vocal either on social media, on GitHub. If you're in the open source community and you don't want to be as public, whatever companies you're working with, start contributing to open source. If you are willing to get a little bit more vocal, start writing, start a blog. If that's not your thing, or maybe on top of that, start making some videos, or just start talking on social media. Start engaging with people. And the reason why I say that is because we're actually hiring for a developer advocate position right now. And I'm going through, several hundred resumes. I think it was like 300 something right now. A lot of people want to work at Upright. And to me, when I'm scanning these, I don't know if you've ever went through the hiring process, Francesco, but when you have that many resumes, you spend about maybe 5 to 10 seconds per resume or per application. I'm scanning for the key points. Can this person communicate? Because if they're in developer advocacy, they're going to have to be able to communicate. And if I see paragraphs and paragraphs of maybe ChatGPT generated content or just stuff that doesn't really communicate that information to me, it goes over. And I'm sorry for that person, but I'll usually scan the resume, scan the questions that we gave them. And then I'm going to social media, I'm checking out GitHub. I want to see how they're engaging with the community. Now, for this role, we have specific needs, but I'm usually looking for their blog. I'm looking for video work and, again, trying to fill the specific things that we have. But if that person's not engaging at all, if they have, 2 Twitter followers, no public GitHub contributions, and they're just like a standard developer, I need to see something that shows me that you're communicating with other people. It's not about the Twitter following, but that's a metric that I can use to see that you can engage with people. So if you're just getting started, just start getting vocal. Like, again, GitHub, social media at any point, or writing. I'd say those 3 things. If you can do that, joining Twitter Spaces, that you're off to a good start, and then you can now show something.
Yeah, and of course, from my perspective, as I said, in 2020, everybody wanted to become a DevRel, but my vision is biased because I've been connected with the people who are like active on social media, active on YouTube. I've been connected with all the YouTubers in tech that I know. So, of course, this is it was something. And yes, I've been in a recruiter some years ago. And yes, the first thing that I was doing is, of course, it was not for a DevRel position, but like first thing that I was doing is like checking name, surname, plus GitHub, and checking if they have the clear GitHub account. Sometimes I couldn't find it, for example. That's a huge, couldn't say if they are the same person. I'm not sure. So this is like you are trying to make my life as a recruiter harder, and I have like a queue of 100 people. So it's like, okay, I can try, but like after a while I say, okay, now it's time to pass to someone else. It's like to have, I don't know,
Yeah.
you're creating burgers and like you have a queue of like 100 people. If someone, they don't know, you just pass to the next one.
I've written some articles on this, and I've actually made some videos on this topic. But this is a little bit different from DevRel. It's just in the hiring process. The best thing you can do when you're applying for a job is put yourself in the recruiter's eyes, or put yourself in their shoes and get things from their perspective. Some people can feel offended that they just got passed over. Well, if you gave me nothing to work with, I'm looking through hundreds of resumes, and it's your job to make sure that that's very visible and easy for me to find. To me, one of the things that I would get is what you said, unless it's linked up. If I have to look up your GitHub and then like you have a completely different profile picture, which isn't the worst thing, but it's like some anime profile picture. Then you have a Twitter name that's completely different from GitHub, and then LinkedIn. Like, I don't know if I'm actually finding the right person. So I'm not going to sit there and try to figure this out. That's your job to make that easy on me. If I don't feel like I can find your GitHub, I'm out. I'm going to the next one. But like just keeping consistency there, even like on Discord, sometimes their name will be different. When you're applying for a job, make sure that's similar or at least easy to find.
Yeah, and of course, insulting and attacking everyone on social media is not probably a good idea if you are looking for a job. But
oh my gosh,
I feel
that's a whole different topic. I cannot. Maybe I don't know if it's no. I've seen people of all ages do. I was going to say the younger people, but please, like when you get laid off at a company or get fired, don't go trashing the company. Like if I see that on your social media profile, I'm not going to hire you, because what's going to happen is if there's one issue, that occurs between, let's say something happens at Upright, I already know that that's where your default's going to go, or maybe fighting other people on social media. You're not representing your company or yourself very well when you're, posting snarky comments or getting into these engagement battles. But it seems like it shouldn't need to be said, but I'm surprised that people do that and then don't see what's wrong with their resume.
Yeah, yes. By the way, hey Tommy, I met him in person in Rome some months ago. I can't remember when, but it was great. And yes, drop a question, Tommy. Nice. One more question, Dennis. Like the best and the worst thing of being in DevRel.
The best thing is I get to change what I want to work on pretty quick, because a lot of things fit into the scope of what I'm doing. So that means I can choose a tech stack. I can kind of build a product that I want, even because it's not like an end product that people are going to end up using. I can almost like build like these demos and have a lot of fun trying different things. If I want to get into the AI world, I can go and pick up some LangChain stuff, Chat GPT, you work with their API. I can do that at Outright if I want. If I want to do some video stuff, I can go find a video SDK. So I love the flexibility there. I also do actually enjoy engaging with the community. The worst thing sometimes is that public thing where I just want to code sometimes. I just want to be left alone. And I still love to kind of work in my dark cave and just zone out and, put some headphones on and work. And that I don't always get time for, because I'm always having to do things publicly. I'm always having to engage with people in some way or another. So that makes it difficult. I'm also not that good with social media either. Like Twitter, Francesco, you've critiqued my Twitter quite a bit. I'm horrible on Twitter. I'm not even good on YouTube. It's just whenever I make videos, that's when I put them out. But I don't really know how to make posts just for the sake of making posts. To me, it's like it has to be an original thought. And then when I do make it, it's not necessarily an engaging one. And I definitely don't like engagement farming, if that's the right term.
Yes, first of all, I don't think that your Twitter account is bad at all. I've seen people more focused on YouTube. They don't care too much about Twitter, but I mean, in a sense that like, I don't know, there are some people, they have like a huge YouTube account, and on Twitter, they just share some behind the scenes. Literally, sometimes like I'm working on a video, like sharing the editor with the clips. Sometimes they gets a lot of view, a lot of likes and comments. So sometimes I think for YouTubers it doesn't have to be complicated or educational or something super smart, but more like sharing something that probably is harder to share on YouTube. So like even your day-to-day life on YouTube, it's a great and simple way, so I will not overthink about this. In your case, I think that's the best thing that you can do. And but yes, and I like and yeah, and of course the worst thing, yes, probably sometimes you need to wear the black hoodie, I would say.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly.
Nice. I answered this in one. I was doing a DevRel series on this channel, but it didn't boost my YouTube account so much, so I had to put it on hold. But I'll be back, of course. It seems that people want more technical stuff, but I answer exactly this. So, does someone needs to have a lot of engineering experience to be able to work in DevRel?
That's going to depend on the role. That's, as I mentioned earlier, there's some developer advocates I know that don't even have a technical background. That kind of blows me away. I would at least require something if I was hiring for a position. As far as experience, I mean, again, it's going to depend on the position, but you should be well versed. I think if you're stuck in one stack, that could hurt you. I would say just be somebody that tinkers a lot with a lot of products, and experience isn't going to hurt you, but it really depends on the position. I'd probably lean towards yes, maybe. Francesco, how would you answer that? Like, it's something that I would like to see.
Yeah.
If you're going to represent my company and speak in public, I want to make sure that when you're asked a question, you have an answer for it, or you at least know how to navigate that conversation.
I would say I'll talk from my experience. My first DevRel role was more, let's say, focused on like the DevOps stuff. I was creating like Docker videos, so it was more close to the technical part, engineering part. Now at Daily Dev, I am, I can say, a pure DevRel. So like I don't code much Daily Dev. I code during the weekend. I don't care. And so probably for your first role, you need more engineering experience, because probably the company will find you because, I don't know, you have, skills in Django and Python, for example, in your case, Tommy. And then from there, if you like DevRel so much, you can focus more on the video creation, more on the public speaking or the social events and so on. But yes, probably if it's more natural, if you want to switch from developer to DevRel, starting with what you are strong with, and then you can move on a pure DevRel. It seems more natural to me.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because like a daily dev, you're not really promoting a technical product, right? Like, I mean, like there's a SaaS product, but your job is to to get traction, to get the product under, to get the product known, I guess. The way you communicate with developers, though, is by making, Rust content or whatever your focus is on your channel. So your job is basically to stir the pot and get any form of engagement. So even though you do need the technical skills, in theory, if you found other ways to do it, maybe just sharing, coding experience or life experiences, as long as it's getting traffic to you, which you're Francesco representing daily.dev, it seems like it does the job. Whereas if you're promoting a product where there is like a core SDK that you need to work with and show people how to use, so that's really going to change based on that, end result, I guess, or the end goal.
Yes. DailyDev is a bit one of a kind, I would say, because it's a tool for developers, but it's not a coding tool. So it's sort of unique, but I like it, of course.
Yeah.
And but yes, of course, Tommy, best of luck with that. Of course, we also talked in person, so it feels weird now to just interact with the chat, because we talked about this DevRel thing in person in Rome some months ago. Best of luck. Nice. Dennis, something else that you want to talk about? We can talk about maybe the video creation for DevRel, because lately I've been kind of focused also on YouTube and video creation. I created a video now, for example, for DailyDev. We have a new feature coming up. So how do you think that like video creation can really help? I can say that probably both of my DevRel roles had to do with my video creation. The first one for sure, because my only job, it was to create 4 tutorials per month. Like, it was very focused on the video creation part. At DailyDev, I create like many shorts, any type of videos, and so on. So video creation and DevRel.
Yeah, for me, it's answering questions in video form. So I'm in our Discord support channels. I'm always watching the conversation, Stack Overflow, and so on, and I'm trying to make sure that anything that's in written form can be made in a video, because you can only explain so much in written form. Some people don't learn that way. Maybe they can't reciprocate that information. So I'm always taking that information and then bringing that in video form. If you look at the AppWrite YouTube channel, the latest videos, it's like, hey, I saw people were having CORS errors. So I went and addressed that. Like, this is what I'm seeing. This is how to fix it. Just put out another video today on, the common mistakes people make when they're setting things up. So that's my way of making sure things are indexed as far as search results go. I either write the technical articles with that, or I have somebody from our team maybe almost like transcribe the video content and then make sure it's written in the right way. But I'm usually making sure that when these questions are being asked, that they're being found. That's like the first goal. It's like the SEO stuff. And then the other thing is to integrate, our tools with the popular products out there, right? Like Astro is one that's growing really fast, or Next.js comes out with a new release. I'm always trying to show people how they can use our specific products with those popular tools. So it's like a native way of marketing. So that's kind of like my biggest focus in that, is aligning with tools that are popular at the same time focusing on the SEO stuff. Because my background, I think you know this, but it was originally in marketing and SEO. That's something that I know very well. Did that for years. So it does kind of naturally fit into this role.
Nice.
Thank you so much. The latest video?
Dennis, of course. While you were speaking, I published the link, so you can check it out. I'll check it out after this. It's kind of short, okay? So I'll watch it. Watch it later. So I like this format of, for example, replying with short video format. I can even get some inspiration, because we also get, sometimes we keep getting similar questions, if not the same. And this is, of course, a way for us, for me, to understand like where are like the pinpoints. Like, I don't know, people saying like, why is this happening? So like, if we have the rule, like if we get the same feedback like 3 times like in a week, it means that, okay, so it's maybe we can do something different. If it's just one person, it's okay. If 3 people can't find that button, it means that that button is probably in the wrong position.
Yeah, it's like in school. I don't know if you ever had this, when your teacher says, hold your questions till the end, because there's a chance that somebody else will have that and will address it in that conversation. To me, it's like, if one person, like, or you said 3 people have it, then that's a common thing, because that's enough of a sample size to say, okay, then out of thousands and thousands of users, there's got to be a percentage that has this issue. So it's something that you can address. And I'm trying to get into the short videos. That's probably the shortest video. I lied. I made a video that's a minute long, but I'm trying to get into these like really short form content. And that's very unnatural for me, because I'm more of an educator. I make 12-hour live streams. I make 20-hour courses. So to make something that's 2 minutes long is definitely
Yeah,
a challenge for me.
yeah, I hate the YouTube shorts. So sorry, YouTube. I don't like YouTube shorts because they have max 60 seconds, and sometimes it's frustrating because I can do, for example, I think it's 90 seconds on Instagram. TikTok, I think you can do up to 10 minutes in vertical format. But every time I want to make a video and publish this also on YouTube, it has to be 60 seconds, and there is not much you can say. And I know because I made this one today, and it was literally just go there, click this button, change these three things, and click again. And it took me like 59
So
seconds.
the time part I hate, but the vertical form. How am I supposed to fit code that's full width on a screen because I'm already having to zoom in? It's like it's
Yeah.
almost more of like a teaser as opposed to educational stuff. Like I can only show so much in that width, Like
Yeah, there are different ways to do this. I think the best is like put yourself at the bottom right with a green screen behind, and then the screen behind you. But still, like, of course, you can't show much
yeah.
stuff. I saw some genius people doing like very very easy tutorials, so they are so easy that they can literally fit in that piece of
Yeah.
code. So it's a sort of a trick also for the format. But yes, for me it's a bit hard even to learn in that way. But yes, I think that the best is a mix of them. For example, now I create also this kind of videos where I explain something with just me talking about a feature or something, and then I have the normal landscape one. Nice, nice. So now you are focused on the. Are you helping on the Upright YouTube channel? What's the goal there? I see that now it's coming alive. I see that the numbers are growing up. How can we
Yeah.
help? How can I help?
So with that, that's actually supposed to be my main job, and I kind of talked about that deviation. So we have this release coming out. We're doing Upright 1.5. This is something that's going to be announced soon, and new features and so on. So I'm working with a lot of the engineers and QA testing, and then making like these overview videos for that. And that took more time than it should, but it took up a lot of my time. So to me, my thing is to get back to YouTube, and my number one goal is to get that channel to 50K, 100K, and so on. Is to make sure that channel has videos coming out 2, 3 times, 4 times a week. So that's the goal. With that, I had honest conversations with my manager, and I'm going to have one again with the CEO Eldad. Just, hey, like, I know that we need these things taken care of. I need to speak at these events. These articles need to be written, but that focus needs to be YouTube, and I'm communicating that back to them. I've tried their way, and then I'm bringing in my way at the same time, because I was hired not just to do the job. I was hired to consult. They hired me for my talents. A lot of times you'll have these YouTubers go to a company, and then their talent is just basically stripped away from them, and they're just forced to fit into this role. Well, it's like the company hired you for that skill, and it's my job to communicate that to them. So I'm kind of at that phase right now. But yeah, you're going to see the Upright YouTube channel grow really quick. It's something that I know how to do. Not a doubt in my mind that this is going to go crazy. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to it, because when Upright's a household name, I want to be one of the main reasons to why that even happened.
Nice. I'm absolutely sure about this, but I look forward for more content there. Also, yes, let's take it also offline if we can help in some ways. But I see we are getting close to 5K soon. So yes, amazing. So first of all, you can go and check the Upright YouTube channel. I also subscribe now, Dennis. I'm sorry,
Just subscribe.
but yeah, yes, but yes. But now I think that I'll see more content there, and it's so probably one of the things that I would like to try in 2024 at some point. I think we already tried a couple of times, but we will make it happen for sure. Nice. Dennis, what else? What can we talk about? The VREL. We saw about the how to become. How do you think is the good way to improve, to level up your DevRel role? We can say, because also you have been doing the DevRel for a while. So
Mhm.
for example, also for me, it's not the same. as it was, let's say, 2 years ago. I was focused on just doing few things. Now I can see more like a vision being aligned with the company and so on. So what do you think like is the way to, let's say that you are already a DevRel and you want to level up your game or become, I don't know, a senior DevRel. I saw someone calling themselves like senior DevRel developer advocate, but
I don't know if
what
I
do you
ever
think?
want that position. I don't envy Tessa, who's my manager, because I would rather focus on putting out content and working with people as opposed to going to meeting after meeting and having to manage the team. So I respect the heck out of what she does, but I don't think I'd ever want that senior position in that way. So as far as like the best thing you can do for your DevRel career, in my opinion, is to engage with other developer advocates. So to me, the way I see it is if you have people that are doing what you're doing, you can get feedback from them. You can see what they're doing, collaborate. Right now, you and I are both developer advocates at our company. We're doing this on, in a sense, on a personal channel for you. It's not on the Daily Dev channel. Yeah, okay, it's on the personal channel. I just want to make sure. But we're able to collaborate and it benefits us both. We're able to post this, from our company account, which I need to make sure that that's done. And then at the same time, Daily Dev and App Right Now are collaborating. So I think that's really good. As far as your career and, upping your skills, I think that's one of the most valuable things because I've learned so many things from watching you, from watching Thadas at Agora and how he does his stuff and just a lot of other developer advocates out there. Lee Rob's one of the people. One that I can also mention, I think this one from Planet Scale. What was his name? I forget it. Do you know the Planet Scale Twitter account by any chance?
I know just Planet Scale.
On the tip of my mind, yeah, but he does such a good job, and I absolutely take inspiration from him, and I want to make sure to see if we can collaborate in the future. But even as far as a role, like companies shift real quick, and if you're known as a developer advocate and developer advocates know you when a position opens up, it's a safe bet to be very well networked.
Yes, I think that also as a developer advocate, you should not stop, getting in touch with all the other people. And I really like what you said about getting in touch with all the people who are developer advocate. This is also a proof that what is happening now. So basically, we are doing it right now. And yes, this really opens up to many opportunities, and I really like the honest feedback, authentic feedback. We tried different things. I want you to show up right on the channel, so we'll take some time later, of course, to sync. Dennis, I know that maybe I don't know if you are if you're meeting later and so on, but I would like maybe you to start giving maybe some final message for people who would like to get into DevRel. I see there is a huge interest of some people who really would like to get into DevRel in some ways. Most of them they had some experience in development, but they want they are more like especially young people, they want to do something more close to social media and content creation things. So what do you think is like the right way, a way that we can help them?
Well, I think the fact that you're even putting stuff like this together in like these streams about DevRel, because it's such an unknown space. I love the fact that you've done Twitter Spaces before on this topic. I think the fact that we know what the position is and so many people are interested in it has already done it such a service because you're just bringing awareness to it. So I think that's absolutely amazing. The fact that we've even started here. With that, I also kind of wish we would maybe talk more about the downsides of DevRel a little bit more often, just to be honest with it, because it does seem like a very glamorous position from what people see. You get, I've heard someone say, "Oh, you basically get paid to travel," and it's like, yeah, that's part of it,
or get paid to stay on Twitter.
yeah, and it's funny because I remember when I was introduced to the role, that's kind of how I saw it too. Like once it was kind of explained to me, I'm like, oh, so you pretty much get paid to just hang out. It's like, yeah, that's a thing, but it's not everything. In fact, that's a very small part of it. And there's just so much work that goes behind the scenes that, make sure you know what you're getting into before you get started. So I think just being able to kind of talk about those sides of things is going to be very helpful to people, but just being honest with ourselves, being honest with them, and, just understand that it's not this glamorous position. And there's so many other variables that come into play. I think you and I have a unique situation where we are working for two companies that do treat DevRels very well and with a high level of respect. Not every company is going to have that. So if you have a bad experience at an organization, that could just be due to the management that was there and how the company viewed it. But you're looking at two cases where it's just done very well. And we're at Appright, it's like we're one of the most important teams when it comes to how the company views us, and that's an honor because they understand the value in what we're doing as far as engaging the community.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dennis. And I think that what you said is very important. I think it's important even to talk about the downsides of the realm. I'm always hoping to play the devil's advocate, not just the developer advocate, but also the devil's advocate role. I think I created a term a couple of months ago, which was like dev hell. So like advocating for a company you don't like, which is probably it's really a real nightmare, because probably I could code for an insurance or bank company if they pay me well, but to advocate you need to believe, otherwise it will be very hard to do this on a daily basis. Maybe one day, but doing this on a daily basis, if you don't believe in something, it's something that becomes really, really hard in that case. So I can say
I got a question for you about that.
Yeah.
So if there's somebody watching that is working for an organization that they don't, let's say, fully believe in, how would you handle something like that? Because I had a situation like that, and not that I didn't believe in the organization, but there were issues that I couldn't align with. What would your advice be if someone goes into a company and let's say they just don't believe in the tech stack, or they find all these holes that won't be fixed, but yet they're forced to represent that product?
Yes, so I will still do my job, because I think there is so much space to focus on the good things. So this is what I will do. So I will focus on the good things. I'll try to not bring just because something is bring constructive negative feedback on features on something else is not believing, I don't know, in the company culture, or it's something, I don't know, the whole wrong tech stack or something like that. You think that it's absolutely not gonna work. So I will still do my job because that's my job. So you need to be professional. At that point it seems I will make the analogy of like, the lawyer who is like, I don't know, defending a criminal, let's say. So you do your job because you need to be professional. In that case, I would be probably super professional. I would probably not joke and be like super happy, but you still do your job. And in that case, I will probably, especially in DevRel, I will focus even more on my like personal connections. Probably I will not just tell everyone like, hey, hire me, I want to leave. So I will probably focus more on like creating those strong connections, and then just wait. And usually this worked well in the last 40 years for me. And usually, so I'll create some new opportunities for me, but without doing this actively, or let's say, not even say like starting posting like bad stuff about the company. This, of course, is for like, say, something that you just know that, I don't know, I'll not work on this in this company in 3 years or in 4 years anymore. So this is probably what I will do. Being professional probably is the best solution, but it will be very tough, because it's as I said, you need to put we have only one face, and putting this on the right thing, because no matter what, if your company is gonna have, I don't know, something bad happening to that or good to them, you will represent them even if you are 0% related to something, you still get this, because some people think that I own the LeDev, I am the creator of the LeDev, because I don't know, they just see my face, they see this logo, and that's it. So you represent the company.
Exactly, you're the face of it too, for sure. And you also have a level of obligation, I guess, because you have people trusting you, right? You have people that listen to what you say, so you can't just represent something that maybe you aren't buying yourself. So to me, that was kind of my solution, was to focus more on a different side of developer advocacy. I was like, okay, if I can't public face and maybe it's not that ever represented a bad product. It was just more of like what products we were pushing I didn't really align with. So I was like, okay, maybe I can switch from the public facing to trying to get more feedback and seeing how I can make the product better. So that's kind of where I shifted my thing in the company. At the same time, there was a form of quiet quitting. It was like, okay, I'll start looking. I was taking interviews for several months, actually, just any chance I would get, jump into an interview and just kind of see what's out there. But made sure that my my concerns were heard too, because I made sure that the company also has the right to, not the right, I guess I owe them the in good faith to let them know that, hey, this is happening, that there's a chance that I can leave without actually saying it, so it doesn't come out of left field for them. Like they're aware that, hey, if I do leave, at least I said something about it first.
Yes. I've never been in that position so far in my life, but pretty probably how I would handle. I think that again, we should really understand that a job is a job, and of
Mhm.
course, you can be friend. We made like a company gathering 2 weeks ago, so everything is perfect, everything is fine. But of course, this is what it is, and it's very important.
Yeah. Would
Nice.
you would you ever consider going back to a pure engineering role?
I don't know. I don't
Tried
know,
it?
Dennis, because I loved content creation so much that at some point, sometimes I have this like what if like if I lose everything, like the job, this all the social media, like I don't know everything, my house, like I will probably still go full content creation, restart the
Mm.
social media from zero now. This is probably what I'll do. I will still code because I like to code and teach,
Mhm.
and this is probably what I will do, but it's it's the worst case. Sometimes I like to analyze like what I will do, like if I will do everything in my power to don't commute ever again. I will probably rather doing a 16 hours live stream every day before going back to the traffic. So this is my level of commitment. And yes, I'm checking that today is the 15th of February, and my first piece of content ever is the 21st of February 2020. So this does mean that 4 years ago I had
4 years. Wow.
zero content ever published, not videos, even articles, or like doing like I don't know, educational tweet. So this is it's strange. It feels weird, but this is like when someone gives you like that answer, that question, like what do you think you will be in 5 years? You have absolutely no idea. So
You see this?
that's the thing. So it's that's thing, but that's probably what I will keep going. So because I'm not like a pure coder, because like I'm doing another job before. So there are people who are like they need to go to code, they need to get paid to code, and that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
For me it's more open. Probably I feel more the need to teach more than to code. So of course now I can teach to code because this is what I've been
It's funny
studying
because
lately.
it goes back to the question of who can be a dev role, and that's kind of an interesting way to look at it, because I know people that are pure coders. Like I have a friend that I hire for a lot of my freelance projects and side projects, and it's funny because I even offered him a dev role position. He's like, no, I can never do that, nor would I want to. He's like, that would kill me, because he's one of those people that not only will he know, let's say, how to build Next.js, how to use Next.js, he will know every bit of how it's even built, like obsessive about Next.js. And he really dives into these topics, and that's what he loves to do. To me, my love for a framework or a language, oops, I thought that was loud. My love for a framework or a language or any tool to use is only goes as far as it serves me. I only want to know, hey, can this get what I need done, and is the experience good? Outside of that, I really don't get obsessive about things. I've been using Python for a long time. Not that obsessed with Python. Like to me, it's been doing more JavaScript as of late. But you'll never find me like diving so deep into it, because I just have no interest in that. Where there's people that are like, a lot of developers are like that. So I think maybe the people that aren't pure developers, see, that's where, because then that comes into the insulting part, right? Like we're still engineers, but we're more of like jack of all trades. Like it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. You just got
Well,
me thinking.
yeah, but it's that's it, because coding is a skill. Now you can get paid to code if you're very good at that, but I think that coding really shines when you mix it with something else. I don't know. I've seen like I don't know doctors code, or some musicians to code because they need to know something, or like content creators who can code. So this
Yeah.
is, I think, it's a good mix and combo. But like if you're very good, you can of course maybe you're not interested into this social media part. I think there is also this sort of friction to get started, and I understand absolutely, because I was exactly like this 5 years ago. So I would just say, okay, I just code my stuff. Probably I was very similar to the guy you mentioned, the person you mentioned. Like, I'm just focused on the technical part, because all this social media experience, it has a sort of gap. Like, you need to stay there for a while before seeing some real output. And now, of course, now it's easier. I would say I still need to put a lot of effort, even on YouTube, on Twitter, and so on. But now it's easier for me, because people say, even if I take like 5 days off because I'm sick, it's okay. Now I go back to Twitter, I just do a couple of tweets, and I'm back again. At the beginning, it's hard because you have almost zero output, like, videos with very low views. I still remember one of my first tweets. It was about a hackathon, and I wanted to participate in this hackathon. I made this tweet like, let's make this together, and I got like 0 likes, 0 comments, 0 DMs. So it's I still remember that. It still burns, but it's this is what happens at the beginning, and now probably it will be a different story. Dennis, I know you have to go, so thank you so much for coming. We need to do more collaborations in 2024. This is our second podcast episode. I want to check the old one and probably put it also in the description when there is all the story of Dennis, of course. If you're in the chat, just say bye. Dennis, some final words, and then I let you go. Promise.
Yeah, I always love joining your streams, having you on my channel. I think it's a lot of fun. We need to do more coding stuff, though. As developers, we need to show more code. That to me is my flow, is when we had that live was a VS Code tool where you can basically live share. We've done that before. I think that was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to something like that, and I will have to invite you for something where we're actually building product. Yeah, so
perfect.
Absolutely honored. Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, of course. You also I think you showed Upright once, because I came on your channel, I think.
Yep, we built a Threads clone. Yeah.
Exactly.
For 10 hours.
Yes, when Thread was a thing. Like, it's still a thing, but it's a small thing.
I'm old enough to remember Threads. I don't know if the young kids remember that.
But yes, Dennis says, of course, we will code more, no worries. But yes, nice. Thanks, man, and best of luck, of course. I also for updating me on all your stuff. We still didn't meet, but we will solve this bug one day.
We'll get it soon, because we've passed each other so many times. Like, within a couple of miles, sometimes it seems like. Yeah,
very close. Very close. Nice. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for coming here. And yeah, see you next time. Next week we have Dom from Instagram. He's a super tech influencer. He does a lot of stuff on different social media. And tomorrow I'll do a live stream, and even the day after tomorrow, because I need to catch up on live streams, because, YouTubers can get sick. I didn't think that this could happen, but yes, it's actually a thing. Bye, everyone.
Alrighty, bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.